Hello everybody. I wanted to put this together to maybe help some of you guys out as far as setting up a drum set. As you see right here, this is my 5-piece drum set. That is, this one is 10, that's a 12, and this is a 14. It's actually called a mounted floor tom. We'll get into that just a little bit. 22-inch bass drum, which is probably what most of you guys have. What I've noticed is the toms are kind of set off a little funky, and how everybody sets up is a little funky. Granted, there's some that has to do with how comfortable you are behind the drum set. So this will be just kind of an overview of how to set it up, so you guys can sit down during this time and start tinkering with your drums and see how where it gets the most comfortable for you. So we will get started, and I'll put this thing together. Here we are behind the kit. First thing that you want to think about is where your bass drum is going to go. Actually, let me back up. First thing that you want to think about, if you're on like a room like I'm in, I have the laminate floors in here. This right here will be your best friend. I got this from Home Depot. It's like 20 bucks. I actually have a couple of them. One goes with me when I go out for gigs and that type of thing. The other one stays in here if I need to set up another drum set for another project. They can't fit back here on this one, and what's over there is my recording rig. So 20 bucks, Home Depot, a rug if you're on a smooth surface and your drum set keeps creeping away from you. So now, let's look at the bass drum. First thing you want to look at is when you sit down at your bass drum, where your feet are going to land is where you want to put your pedals. So we're looking at bass drum and hi-hat. We'll pull this thing over here. So this is how I would sit. Hi-hat's right here. Now I bring my snare drum in. Yes, I've preset some of this stuff up. So now, as I sit down, I'm at a comfortable position. My seat height is good. About you want your legs about parallel to the floor, or a little bit above parallel to the floor. You don't want to be too high, too low. You want it to be comfortable. As most of you guys know, my students, I am playing a lot of traditional grip, which means my snare drum will be tilted a little bit different than what this is. This is set up more for match playing. I will cover this drum set in just a second. So now, I can do anything I need to do from right here at a comfortable seated position. And as you see, my bass drum is where my foot lands, and my hi-hat is right here where this foot lands. I'm not set up. Hi-hat's way over here and this, and now you have to sit this way. This is looking to the side of the stage. Your crowd will be out here. Not to mention, you got a really wide stance here. Your first drum, your first tom would be sitting here. So from here to here is a lot harder than you're over here. Now you're turning a little bit too much. So, again, you want to sit where you're facing forward. Now, you're set up where if you just have kick, snare, and hi-hat, you're good to go. So there's that. So let's get to your first tom. In the case of this drum set, I got this drum set many, many years ago. For you to know, it is a Yamaha Maple Custom Absolute. It is in what they called in the early 2000s fusion sizes, which means it's 10, 12, and a 14. So the 10 would be the first one here. So I bring that in. I'll need to slide this back just a touch to get this in, to get it mounted. And now, that is mounted. To where if that was all I had, kind of directly in front of me. So it's right there. So now you want to bring in the next drum, which in this case is going to be the 12. These are actually relatively deep toms compared to today's standards. This is a 10 by 12, that's a 9 by 10. So it's a little deep, so there's some adjusting that has to happen just because of how deep it is. And some of you guys may have drums that you need to adjust a little bit more. But as you see, these two drums are now sitting kind of squared on the drum set. What you don't want to do is have it where one drum is out here and one is out like that. And I've even seen them a little bit further out. You'll see kind of set up this way. That's odd angles that you're going to get to as you're playing. So you want them to be kind of tilted toward you and set up evenly spaced over the drum set. So that kind of works right there for a quick throw together. So now, in my case on this drum set, I have a mounted floor tom, which means it has a mount just like these. So I mount it off a cymbal stand. Normally what I would do, let's go ahead and grab that. What I would do is I would mount my ride cymbal off of this same stand. If you have a mounted floor tom, you want to be sure that it's mounted over a leg of the stand. So now you pull this in, and now it is at also a comfortable I'm not twisted in any way. I'm not facing this way and twisting to get to this drum. So everything is right here. I would actually do a little bit more work with these to get them tilted a little bit more, maybe drop them some. But this, for the purposes of this video, this will work. So then what I would do, and you can have your ride cymbal kind of anywhere if you wanted it. What I would do is I would come off of this stand, pull the boom out, kind of do that, and then I would adjust my ride cymbal to where I'm playing it right here versus maybe right over here. For a lot of left-handed players, you can put your ride cymbal here. That's not a problem. So you have it here, or you can have it here. Left-handed, which I would be saying is open-handed, where both of your hands are open. Kind of like I'd play here, then you're here. I cross up, open-handed players play that way. So, ride cymbal, then you can have a crash and a crash. But overall, that's kind of how you want to set the drum setup. You want it comfortable for you and adjusted for your height. If you're not as tall as I am, there'd be some adjustments to it. You just don't want your toms set out like this, because now your cymbals are in places that you can't get to. So what I'll do is I'm gonna grab the camera and I'm gonna come back around and we'll show it from the back side, and then I'll get to how these other kits are set up. And here's what it looks like from the back. As you see, everything is set up. My seat's right there and it's set perfectly straight up. Everything is directly in front of me. And that's, you see that the toms are very easy to get around. So it's very simple. So you have boom, 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 boom. Nothing is off in a position that's going to be weird for your hand to get to. So this is what that one looks like, a 5-piece. This would be called 2 up, 1 down. 5-piece drum set. That's what it should look like. Of course, adjusting for your height and whether or not you want to use 2 drums on the top or not. This is actually another option of how you can set up. This would be called a 1 up, 2 down, or excuse me, 1 up, 1 down. This is a Gretsch Brooklyn. And it is set up as a 20-inch bass drum, 12 and 14. It does have a snare to it. It's on the other side over there. So this is also kind of set up in that same way as I'm set. Everything I always set up, the pedals are always in the same spot. They're where my feet land. Then the snare's in the middle, and if you notice, that first tom goes straight up from the center of that, straight to the center there. And this goes straight off, center to center. This is for this particular setup. And I had just two crashes on this kit. So my main kit, it now is, I'm playing Gretsch. This drum set here is kind of the same setup. It's 12-14, but with an 18-inch bass drum. It looks very similar to this right here, a smaller bass drum. So then I will go to the bigger set that I have set up on the other side of the room, and we'll discuss that one. Okay, so this would be the, we can say the big brother to the small drum set sitting over there. So this one is a 24-inch bass drum. It's a 13-inch rack tom, 16-inch floor tom, and an 18-inch floor tom. As you see, these colors match the one that's directly on the other side of the room, and it's because I bought it as one big drum set. But anyway, I can have any kind of setup that I would need. So this is somewhat set up the same way as the one across the room, as in it's one up, and then there's the one down, except this would be one up, two down with the bass drum. Snare drum, still everything right here, if you notice, center to center, and then it comes down center. So there's that little, you can say it's a little triangle right there. And as you go back, everything kind of lines up with those centers. And it's very, very easy to get around. I don't have to do a whole lot of work to reach each drum. And that's what you want to have. You want to have everything very easy to get around. You want a nice flow to being able to move around the drum set. So this is 3 different ways to set your drum set up. Most of what I've seen, all you guys have the 2 up, 1 down, and this is what you want those to look like. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Pretty sure if you go to my website, www.brandonfaulkner.net, if you have any questions, you can email me. I'm happy to answer any questions from anybody. I hope to have another live YouTube session this Friday. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, until then, we'll see you at the next lesson, and happy drumming.